A celebrity stylist gets on the stand, Deontay Nash.
And he said he spends pretty much every single day with Cassie. He said he saw Diddy and Cassie together. But then he said that Diddy would also refer to her as the B word. He would call her an SLUT.
One Cassie Ventura, known to the world simply as Cassie, has long captivated fans with her smooth vocals, striking beauty, and her headline-making relationship with music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. But behind the magazine covers and red carpet smiles, there's a side to Cassie's story the public has never truly seen. Until now. In a stunning revelation, Diddy's former stylist has come forward with claims that could shatter the carefully crafted image surrounding Cassie's private life. This insider, who worked intimately with both Cassie and Diddy during some of their most chaotic and vulnerable moments, is pulling back the curtain on a world hidden from the spotlight, one filled with secrets, betrayal, and quiet suffering. According to the Stylist, Cassie was involved in a secret affair, not just a passing fling, but a deeply rooted relationship with a powerful industry heavyweight. It was a romance kept entirely under wraps, away from cameras and gossip columns. But that's not the most disturbing part. Behind Cassie's polished public persona was a woman enduring emotional turmoil, and, as the Stylist hints, possible abuse. Subtle bruises camouflaged under expertly applied makeup, abrupt mood shifts, and haunting silences told a different story. One of pain, one of fear, one she never spoke aloud. Stylists often become silent observers of their clients' lives and present in the quiet moments when the masks come off. And what this stylist witnessed offers a rare glimpse into the hidden agony Cassie may have carried for years. In an industry where silence is the price of survival, this testimony breaks the code, exposing the darker truths that fame can conceal. Through it all, Cassie's quiet strength and perseverance are undeniable. This is not just a story of secrets, it's a story of heartbreak, control, and ultimately, survival. A haunting reminder that behind the glamour of Hollywood, even stars carry scars hidden from the world. And now the truth is finally beginning to surface.
How much time Deontay spent with Cassie, and he said he spends pretty much every single day with Cassie. He said he saw Diddy and Cassie together, though, about once a week, but that's still a pretty often time. And then he was asked, what were the names that Diddy referred to Cassie as? So first, Deontay was like, oh, baby girl, Cassie. But then he said that Diddy would also refer to her as the B word. He would call her an SLUT. He would call her a... But he said it's the B word that was his favorite word to use in reference to his own girlfriend, that being Cassie. And he said, he being Deontay, said that Diddy would call Cassie an outright SLUT. And I'm sorry, guys, I know I have to be very careful with just the words that I can say on air, but Deontay explained that when Diddy would call her these names and when he would use these words against her, that Cassie would be sad. She would be depressed about this name calling. Deontay went on to explain that Diddy threatened Cassie a number of times, threatened to release her sex tapes, send those sex tapes to her parents, threatened to beat Cassie's behind, and it drove Cassie essentially crazy. She would cry, she would stay in the house. Deontay explained that Cassie would essentially cocoon up when Diddy would just call her these names, and Diddy threatened not to release her music, something that the government has talked about at length throughout a bunch of different witness testimony.
Who was the former stylist to Cassie Ventura. He testified to acts of violence, often seeing bruising on Cassie. He testified that at one point on a 2013 video shoot that Sean Combs also attacked him. A lot of violence, a lot of bruising, and a lot of blackmail. He said that he had threatened to release Cassie's videos, including to her parents, that he would get her parents fired. He would say things like, I'm going to beat you, I'm not going to release your music, I'm going to get your parents fired. And there were threats of blackmail, essentially, that speak not only to the underlying RICO charge, but also the elements of coercion for the enterprise's purpose of engaging in sex trafficking. You know, he confirmed that Combs helped Cassie's career and also his career. He confirmed that it's common for music labels to control the appearance of their talent. But then he went further to say that Cassie seemed to be the only bad boy talent whose appearance was controlled by Combs. Again, going to that element of coercion. I think this is a witness that the defense can argue is maybe biased, but he was overall a very strong witness for the prosecution.
For years, Cassie's relationship with Sean Diddy Combs was one of the most talked about romances in the entertainment world. Together, they graced red carpets, attended elite events, and were often seen as the embodiment of a glamorous love story. But behind the flashes of paparazzi cameras and the polished public image, the truth was far more complicated and far more painful. One of the few people who witnessed the reality behind closed doors was Diddy's longtime stylist, someone who had a front row seat to the emotional roller coaster playing out between the couple. This insider, who worked closely with both Cassie and Diddy over several years, says the signs of trouble were apparent from the beginning. Though Cassie always appeared radiant in public, subtle but alarming clues began to surface. The Stylist recalls moments when Cassie arrived at photo shoots or events with faint bruises hidden beneath layers of makeup. Her confidence would sometimes vanish in a matter of hours, replaced by visible distress and withdrawal. These weren't isolated incidents. They formed a pattern, one that raised red flags for those paying close attention. Around the same time, the stylist became aware of a secret that Cassie had carefully kept from the public. A private, deeply emotional affair with another powerful figure in the music industry. This wasn't idle gossip. It was a legitimate, serious relationship that unfolded during one of Cassie and Diddy's many off-again periods. While the identity of the man remains confidential, the stylist affirms that the affair brought both solace and added emotional weight to Cassie's already fragile world. The impact was significant. Although Cassie continued to work during this time, something had shifted. Her projects were repeatedly delayed or quietly shelved, and her appearances grew increasingly rare. According to the stylist, the emotional strain from her private life, the abuse, the secrecy, the pressure, took a visible toll on her creativity and momentum. When it came to the abuse, the stylist paints a haunting picture of what Cassie endured: emotional manipulation, physical intimidation, a constant need to preserve the illusion of control and stability. Cassie, they say, felt she had no choice but to protect her image and career, even if it meant suffering in silence. She avoided public confrontation, kept her circle tight, and leaned only on a handful of trusted friends and professionals. Beyond the physical harm, it was the emotional control that left the deepest scars. The stylist describes a toxic environment, where Cassie was often isolated, fearful of speaking out and unsure of whom she could trust. In an industry that often rewards silence and punishes vulnerability, her voice was stifled, her pain tucked neatly behind a smile. This account reveals a darker truth about fame, that even in the spotlight, suffering can remain unseen. And, for Cassie, the cost of maintaining the illusion was heartbreakingly high.
And around this time frame from 2012, 2013-ish, again, when Deontay was still working with Diddy and Cassie, Deontay explained that Diddy threatened to do something to Cassie's parents. Now, they didn't elaborate what this threat was, but I'm sure once we get back from the lunch break, they'll kind of expand more on just that. But it seems like, from Deontay's point of view, that Diddy threatened Cassie a number of times. Diddy even threatened Cassie and Deontay, that Cassie couldn't go out with Deontay and that she needed to bring her behind home, essentially, and that Cassie again would be referred to as the B word, and that Cassie would have to essentially do whatever Diddy said, whether it was how her appearance looked, whether her hair was down a certain way, whether it was up a certain way. And so I think as far as just the direct examination goes, yes, we did have a funny moment at the beginning of testimony, but really just getting into just kind of the weight of the testimony, it seems that Deontay is kind of, in essence, kind of giving more credibility to a lot of the other witness testimony, just about how mean and potentially forceful Diddy was against her. Well, I'm not going to lie, Jesse, I absolutely love everything about Deontay Nash being on the witness stand. He's funny, he's sassy, and look, when I see it, if I were to see an exhibit photo of myself and I looked beautiful in this glamorous headshot, I would tell the entire courtroom too that I looked fabulous and stunning, and there was just this eruption of laughter inside the courtroom. And so Deontay Nash definitely at some point during his testimony personality is brought out, but he is there to talk about a lot of substance too. And that is just about his working relationship with Cassie Ventura as well as even Diddy. He styled both of them. However, he did have kind of a better friendship and relationship with Cassie, and he witnessed a lot according to his testimony during his time while he had worked as a stylist with her. And so we're introduced to Deontay Nash around 12 o'clock-ish, right before the lunch break. He was the last witness who was called before we went to lunch. And so he was kind of explaining just how he had started working with Diddy and Cassie. He started off as an intern for Derek Roche, and Derek Roche was actually Diddy's stylist. And when Deontay is on the witness stand, Jesse, he's not even referring to him as Diddy or Sean Combs. He calls him Puff or Puffy. That is what he calls him by, and that's normally the name that he's familiar with. And so we do see that exhibit photo of Deontay Nash. It was a glamour shot of him, and of course, he said that he looked amazing and fabulous, and I'm sure the transcript read just that, but just being inside the courtroom, it definitely was kind of a good, funny, highlighted moment, and then it got more serious from there. So he was explaining that he had worked with Diddy and Cassie from 2008 to 2018, so about a 10-year period. Then we get into the 2009 to 28 time frame, which is a long time, but Maureen Comey, who did the questioning under the direct examination, was essentially asking some foundational questions just about...
Despite the immense challenges she faced, Cassie's resilience quietly shone through. Over time, she began to distance herself from the toxic forces in her life and seek out healthier support systems. The stylist recalls moments when Cassie's spirits began to lift, whether through reconnecting with trusted old friends or immersing herself in new creative projects. These glimpses of hope revealed a woman determined to reclaim her life and reshape her narrative, even while navigating immense personal turmoil. The stylist's revelations come amid a growing cultural reckoning in the entertainment industry, a time when more survivors of abuse are stepping forward to share their truths. Cassie's story, as recounted by someone who witnessed her journey firsthand, adds a powerful human voice to this vital conversation. It underscores the urgent need for accountability, protection, and the reimagining of work environments that have too often enabled silence and control. Though Cassie has not publicly addressed these specific claims, the stylist hopes that sharing their perspective will inspire empathy and awareness, and encourage others to recognize the private battles many celebrities endure behind the polished exterior of fame. Because, as this story shows, neither wealth nor spotlight immunity shields anyone from suffering. Often, the brightest stars carry the heaviest shadows. As we continue to follow Cassie's path forward, this exposé serves not only as a cautionary tale, but also as a testament to quiet strength. It shines a light on the emotional and psychological toll of an industry that too often overlooks the humanity behind the celebrity image. Behind the glitz, the dynamics between Cassie and Diddy were anything but simple. While their public relationship drew constant media attention, the stylist remembers countless private moments marked by tension, secrecy, and emotional strain. The weight of maintaining a flawless public image, of portraying the perfect couple, took a visible toll on Cassie. This wasn't just about romance. It was about power, control, and surviving in an industry where personal boundaries are frequently blurred or ignored altogether. Further complicating her life was a secret relationship Cassie maintained with another high-profile figure. Someone deeply embedded in the music world but operating mostly behind the scenes. According to the stylist, this covert relationship offered Cassie emotional refuge, but also intensified her inner conflict. She was caught between public loyalty to Diddy and private feelings for someone else. The result was an exhausting emotional double life filled with loyalty, fear, hope, and heartbreak. The stylist also pointed to consistent signs of abuse, not always physical, but often psychological. Manipulation, intimidation, control wrapped in charm and extravagance. The bruises and emotional scars Cassie concealed were symptoms of a much deeper, more insidious struggle. One that too many women, particularly in powerful, high-profile relationships, are forced to endure quietly. The stylist describes moments when Cassie's light seemed to dim, when her usual vibrancy gave way to silence, anxiety, or distraction. These subtle cues, barely visible to the public, told a different story. One of pain buried beneath poise, and strength forged in secrecy. Cassie's journey is a reminder that behind the celebrity sheen, real people live with real pain. And now, the truth that lived in whispers is finally being brought into the light.
For some reason, Big had to be at that party because Puff is the one who, and you'll see in Kirk Burroughs' papers, that Puff was the one who scratched out Big trip from going to London. And then turned around and lied that Big didn't want to go to London, which was a bunch of crap. You understand what I'm saying? Because he asked Clark Kent to go to London with him. He asked Clark Kent to go to London with him. And Clark Kent was going to go to London with him, God bless the dead. You understand? Clark Kent told that story. Now, in this trial, Cassie was telling how D-Rock and Puff was trying to line Suge Knight up. But like I said, I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just going to get into the fact that D-Rock has been with Puff since Big died. You understand? He went and did a little time, and when he was in jail, he was letting everybody know when he come home, Puff was going to take care of him. And he became head of Puff security, making sure Puff was all right. Puff also gave him that clothing line, which was Bully. It was Big's ideal, but it was Invisible Bully. You understand? Gave him that clothing line. They was doing a little work, and he was doing the t-shirts and everything like that. And I guess Puff was actually, paying him back for helping him get Big to that party. I'm glad Miss Wallace ain't here, brother, to see and hear what we're finding out about D-Rock now and the things that he did and how he was, so close to Puff and doing some of the things with Puff. And it's crazy right now. I'm glad Miss Wallace is not here to hear that because she was somewhat fond of D-Rock.
Even more troubling than the visible scars were the patterns of isolation Cassie endured. According to the Stylist, her access to friends and family was often limited, whether by calculated control or circumstance. This separation, subtle, yet strategic, made it increasingly difficult for Cassie to reach out, seek support, or even confide in those she trusted. The isolation reinforced a cycle of silence, one all too familiar in the entertainment world where maintaining a pristine image often comes at a devastating personal cost. In Hollywood, image is everything. And for Cassie, the stakes were unbearably high. She faced an impossible choice: protect her career or expose the painful truths behind her seemingly charmed life. Like many in her position, she chose to keep quiet, not out of weakness, but out of necessity. The risk of being disbelieved, dismissed, or punished professionally was real. Despite this, Cassie demonstrated extraordinary resilience. The Stylist recalls a slow but steady transformation, signs that Cassie was beginning to push back. Through subtle acts of independence, quiet defiance, and the pursuit of new support systems, she began to reclaim her agency. But this evolution didn't come easily. It meant navigating a minefield of emotional complexity and standing up to powerful figures who thrived in the shadows of silence. The Stylist's revelations come at a pivotal moment as the entertainment industry begins to reckon with its long-standing culture of secrecy and abuse. Cassie's story stands as a stark reminder that even those who appear to have it all can be deeply vulnerable. Her experience reveals the urgent need for change and the importance of allies, those willing to speak up, support survivors, and challenge the status quo. While Cassie has chosen to remain private, the Stylist's account offers a powerful glimpse into the truth behind the headlines. It reminds us that behind every glamorous photo op or polished performance is a real human being, one who may be enduring unspeakable struggles far from the public eye. This narrative is not just a story of love, loss, and fame. It is a story of survival. A call to awareness. A plea for empathy and accountability in an industry that often turns its back on its most vulnerable. As we peel back the layers of Cassie's experience, what emerges is a portrait of strength forged in silence and courage cultivated in the shadows. Her secret relationship with an influential, behind-the-scenes figure, combined with the emotional manipulation and control she endured, paints a harrowing picture of the darker side of fame. It shows how the need to protect a public image can drive someone to mask their pain with perfection. Cassie's journey, as seen through the eyes of Diddy's former stylist, is not just a celebrity exposé. It is a sobering reminder of the price many pay for survival in an unforgiving spotlight. Behind the red carpets and magazine covers was a woman struggling to hold herself together, hiding wounds both physical and emotional while trying to maintain a career and identity in a world that demanded her silence. This is more than Cassie's story. It is a reflection of a system that too often fails its stars, and a call for change that is long overdue.
That's effed up subject and situation, man, to even imagine that you got somebody doing that to somebody that you supposed to care about and you supposed to be in a relationship with.
Yeah, when I heard that was crazy to hear. Disturbing.
You can't make this shit up, bro. This is made for XTV. The stories that we're hearing about things that Cassie has done, and we got these people out here believing that, she made this shit up. She ain't did this with nobody. I ain't seen not one of her ex-boyfriends. I ain't seen not one of the people that she dated in high school or none of that stuff come out and say that she was doing that way before she got to Diddy. So, it is disturbing, bro. It's disturbing that he could brainwash her to the point where that she believing that she pleasing him and all his fetishes and everything by doing some that she's doing for him, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, she testified that Diddy here run male escorts.
Bro, what do you want me to say about that? That's some nasty, perverted shit. You know what I'm saying? Bro, when you that high and you into that, then that's to me, that's the demonic, bro. That's some old crazy otherworld shit. Excuse me for my language. That's some crazy otherworld stuff that people in their right minds don't even think of stuff like that, bro. People that's not in a whole sense of being perverted. That's triple X type of shit, man. That's stuff that normal people don't even think of, man. How high do you get that you want another man juices rubbed on you?
5. What stands out most in Cassie's story is her unshakable resilience. Despite the control, the fear, and the emotional toll, she found the strength to push back, to reclaim her voice, seek support, and begin the process of healing. In an industry that often values image over integrity, Cassie's journey is a testament to the quiet power of perseverance. Her experience mirrors a broader cultural shift taking place across the entertainment world, a movement where survivors are stepping out of the shadows, breaking their silence, and demanding accountability. It's a movement rooted in truth, compassion, and the collective effort to dismantle the systems that have allowed abuse to go unchecked for far too long. This story also highlights the critical role of allies, those behind-the-scenes figures, like Diddy's former stylist who witnessed the truth and chose to speak up. Their bravery in sharing these painful realities helps raise awareness and foster a culture that values safety, support, and transparency over secrecy and self-preservation. As Cassie continues to rebuild and redefine her narrative on her own, her story serves as a sobering reminder. Fame and fortune do not guarantee happiness, protection, or peace. Behind the bright lights and carefully curated images, there are often unseen battles, real human experiences that deserve empathy, not judgment. This exposé urges us to look beyond the gossip, beyond the headlines, and into the human cost of silence. Cassie's journey is not just the story of one woman's fight for freedom. It's part of a larger call for dignity, respect, and truth in an industry that must do better. To fans, industry professionals, and those simply watching. From the sidelines, this is your call to listen, to believe, and to support. Real change begins with those willing to speak and those willing to hear. Cassie's courage shines through every step of her story. And behind the fame stands a woman who deserves not just applause, but protection, care, and justice. What are your thoughts on Cassie's story? Drop a comment below. I'm reading them. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more exclusive insider reveals.